Hi, I have just been having a look at my analyticals of my videos because I do quite a wide range of content, and I noticed that one of the biggest interest is actually my paranormal experiences. So I reached the biggest audience and the most views seem to be that people are interested in my paranormal experiences. Now, I have already shared about alien abductions and UFOs, but I'm going to share the most scariest experience I've ever had in the paranormal, and that was when I was a child. Now, remember, when we are children, I don't know whether entities play on our innocence, because remember, we used to call mum and dad, there's something in the closet or there's something under the bed. And I don't know whether these are actual portals. This is a very interesting concept to think about, because why do children worldwide say there's a boogeyman or a monster in my closet? And before I share my experience, when I did a haunting, a clearing one time of a house, they didn't tell me where, the spirit or entity was. I walked from room to room, and I came to like a built-in cupboard, and it was in the master bedroom. And I said, this is where the spirit is actually coming through, and it's a Chinese man, an old Chinese man. And as I've explained in my other videos, the guy went white because his 4-year-old son had said that there's a Chinese old man visiting him. And I had not got any information. I'm not that I saw that person. That's what came into my head. When I do paranormal things, I can either see a ghost, so see them like real people, or an entity will show me whatever it thinks is scary, and then I'll laugh at it. Because if Hollywood's got a lot to blame for this, if it shows me this absolutely horrible face with big fangs and horns, and I laugh. Or if a grey alien, I laugh. So entities are like bullies, and children being innocent. I'm not saying all entities are bullies, by the way, because we have so many different classes of entities. We have entities that are lost and stuck and need our help. Entities that don't even know that they've died. We have entities that have never been human. We have entities. Paranormal is such a vast subject to cover. It covers aliens, fairies, mythical creatures, Bigfoot, ghosts, shadow people, whatever. And I believe that because of innocence of children, and it's so easy to scare a child, to go boo and jump out at a child, like what happened with Jimmy, where I showed that video. If you look in my early videos in round about 2020, I've got a video, and in the first couple of seconds you will see a curtain move, and it was early hours of the morning. There was no one in my house. I captured a ghost. I've not the figure, but the absolute movement. I've captured poltergeist movement or entity movement. And I think because of innocence, like I said, and so it's easy to scare children, that entities like children, I mean, we can go off and down rabbit holes here, with David Icke and everything. But anyway, I'm not going to talk about why children are, maybe also children are super sensitive. Maybe as we get older, we start to worry about material world and so believe in the solid world that we lose contact with, the paranormal, so that we can't see entities like animals and children can. Maybe that's the case, I don't know. But for some reason, universally, we don't frighten our kids and say there's boogeymen or monsters in the closet or under your bed. So this is a universal thing, like I said at the beginning, that all children seem to know, and maybe these are portals or dimensions. But here is my scariest ever paranormal experience. And before I tell you, it's because it happened to me as a child, because as an adult, I am more secure in myself and know how to protect myself. But as a child, you do not know these things. So my most scariest thing happened was when I was about between the age of 10 and 12. And we lived in a house in Taringa, which is in Brisbane, which is near Indooroopilly. And this house had my parents' bedroom on one side of the house. In the middle was the kitchen, the lounge room, etc. On the other side was my sister's bedroom. Anyway, I had been watching, I loved vampire movies, the old, Vincent Price and Christopher Lee vampire movies, and I had been watching a vampire movie, and I had long hair, and we had mango trees out right next to where my bedroom was, and I was lying there after watching a Dracula movie, and I heard bats. Of course, they're fruit bats. You don't get vampire bats in Australia. But I heard bats, and I got frightened. So I raced to my sister's bedroom. Now, backtracking a little bit, in my younger years, my parents would send us to Sunday school. I think it was a way for us, to get us out of their hair on a Sunday morning. And so for a little while I was going to church, and then I stopped and I started again when I was 16. That's when I became a Christian. But I'm off the topic, the scariest moment. I only threw the church in because it's relevant to my story. So my two sisters are asleep in the bed, and I jumped in because I'm frightened. I thought, there's vampire bats outside about to get me. But this is what happened. I happened to look outside the window, and it was a beautiful, clear night. There wasn't, you could see outside, it was dark, and you could see stars. And outside my sister's bedroom was a big, tall, like oak tree, or I think it was an oak tree, I'm not sure. And I looked, and suddenly this blue being just appeared, and right high up in the tree. And I'm looking in amazement, and I'm thinking, what? Am I dreaming? What am I seeing? Bright fluorescent blue kind of man looking in the tree. So I woke one of my sisters, because I wanted, some validation that what I was seeing. And my sister, who happens to be 2.5 years younger than me, so say I was 10, she would have been 8. She woke up and she saw it too. And we both, because she saw it, that made me start to get scared. And she was starting to freak out. And we're both really, really scared. And the more scared and panicking we were getting, the more we were starting to worry. What is it? What is it? What is it? This being had a smile, and it was evil. And it grinned harder and harder. And as I just told you, I'd gone to church, so I was believed that this thing was a demon. So I prayed, please God, take this thing away. Next minute, this like bolt of a light, like a lightning, but it wasn't lightning because it was a clear night, there was no storm, came to the tree and the thing was gone, disappeared. That is my scariest story as a child. The scariest thing as an adult is being a medium when I went to a Western Australia town, and this town it was a mining town. They had, and it was built lots of little huts. They didn't even have baths or toilets. And I don't know the history that well. It was near Leonore in Western Australia. So if you are interested, you could look up Leonore in Western Australia, this abandoned migrant little town where just the miners had lived. And we were camping there for the night. And I went in the evening down there just because they have like a museum, and you can walk around. You can walk around all this town to see how the people lived. And I had so many spirits trying to come through me because I'm a medium that I was choking. So it wasn't scary. It was just like pressure that I couldn't breathe because too many spirits had wanted to go through me, talk to me. I have seen things that, like Hollywood demons, and I've laughed at them. And as an adult, I haven't really been frightened of anything. The only other time was, I told you in my last time as 14, when we conducted a seance. Now, I also do have to share something else. Warning first before I share this. This is a warning for people with mental health issues who suffer trauma or self-harm. So I'll put that warning before you go on with the rest of the content. My son, as an young adult, tried seances and could never get it to work. So this was 2012. So I'm 51. 2012, and I was staying with my son and his roommate. My husband at the time was away at his mother's place trying to get clean. So my son and I had this seance, and the seance warned me that it was going to kill me. That, stop it, Jem. Stop trying to interfere. I'm going to kill you. A few days later, a situation went down with my son where he didn't really get on with my husband who died. It's an awful story which I don't really want to get into, but let's just say, because I was going to take my husband back, my son was unhappy. So he cut off the relationship with me and threw me out of the house. So I attempted self-harm. But here is what I laughed and said to the spirit, you can't kill me. But it was an evil spirit in the saying, you are going to die, because what it was really saying is that the relationship between you and your son is going to end. Because death, when something says die, it doesn't necessarily mean die. It might mean the end of. And it took me another 8 years to reconcile with my son. I have wonderful relationships with my children now. And perhaps really, if I talk about the worst experiences, spiritual experiences, paranormal experiences, is sleep paralysis. If I am awake and spirits present themselves, entities, I can deal with it. But if I'm having a sleep paralysis moment and an entity comes, that is absolutely frightening. So sharing with you some more. And again, I believe there are, just like people, there are all sorts of entities, good, bad, indifferent. It's all about balance. And there's some spirits that don't even care. And to some entities, we're the entity. We're the ones intruding in their world, in their dimension. We're the aliens. So maybe we're scaring somebody else. Or, some other entity. Maybe I'm scary. Maybe in some micro dimension, I'm appearing and I can't see them, because like a ghost maybe can't see me, I'm appearing as Bigfoot or something to this other dimension, or an alien, and they're freaking out. So I thought I'd make this second video because you seem to love hearing about my paranormal stories. So there we are. I've just shared with you the most scariest stories. And for my husband Rob, who was also psychic, the most scariest one was when after I told you I cleared the house of the haunting of the Chinese man, we were followed home by a big black shadow. And my husband turned around, thought it was someone after him, and ran. And because of his fear, the shadow got bigger, blacker, and darker. But I walked right into it. No fear, just love. And I'll leave you with that. Oh, except one other thing. I have been misguided. There are entities that don't know love. So when you try to say to them, I love you, they don't understand that. So if an entity is in your house that is doing bad stuff, you firmly tell it to get out, to go back to where it came from, the source, that it doesn't belong there, and you do it firmly. I made the mistake in my early medium and psychic by saying, I bring you love. That doesn't work. And sometimes there are lost spirits who do need our help. And if you want me to help you, if you want me to tell you how to help or move these spirits on, I can do that one time only. I just thought I'd make this video because I noticed that my last paranormal one got the most hits. So obviously this is a topic that you guys are really interested in. Anyway, I bring you love. Lots of love. Have a really good weekend. I'm not sure when I'll be back, but I'll be back. Never far away. Love yous.